Alrighty, everybody, welcome back, and thank you for joining me. I am your host, Ramadi, and as you see before me here today, we are in-game Space Engineers. So, before we get started on new Space Engineers series, I thought what I would do is I would show you a little about Space Engineers. So we has an introduction. We has a prequel. No, that's not the right word. We has a prologue. There we go. Prologue to the series. And mostly I do this because Space Engineers is a very difficult game. It's a very complex game, and to some extent, it is a boring game. But it is a ton of fun. So while this single player world loads, Space Engineers is just what it sounds like. You're an engineer in space. It is a sandbox game. Some people have called it like a Minecraft game, and it is kind of like Minecraft to the extent that they are both sandboxes. Other than that, they are not very similar. You can see I has many things around here. Maybe not many things, but I have some things around here. So this is a world that I have been playing around in. I have been just playing around in this world, just kind of getting the basics, the understanding of what actually goes on with it. I also need to note that the world, there was an update recently that has kind of changed how your world loads. So I need to get a new world started. But getting ahead of myself, ahead. So it is a sandbox, meaning you can do many things that you want. It is obviously in space. It is similar to Minecraft in that you need to mine. So here's an asteroid right here if I really wanted to. Actually, I'm not convinced that I has the proper tool. Oh, I do has a tool. So if I wanted to, I can go over here and I can mine the things off of this asteroid. Now, obviously, what that just gave to me right there is a stone, and stone is useless, so I'm not going to pick it up. In my hand right now is a welder. I also have a grinder, and then I has a drill. And those are pretty much the three things that you start off the game with, just like that. So that stone, you just saw it come over here and disappear into a collector. That's a cool feature. We're not going to talk about it right now. What makes this game uber difficult is that you have to start off with a hand drill. And if you look on the lower left-hand side of my screen, you see a little blue panel that at the top of it, it says flying, and then I have health, jetpack, dampeners, lights, mass, speed, energy. The energy is what I'm most interested in because as I sit here and talk to you, you're going to notice that my energy continually ticks down. And as I fly around, it is going to tick down faster. That is bad. When you get to 0% energy, you die. I'm going to say that again. When your energy gets to 0%, you die. So how do I increase my energy? Well, you have to have something that is producing energy. And in the case of when I started on this level, I had these small nuclear reactors because we're in a world where nuclear reactors exist. And so right here I have some uranium. And it is producing energy in that reactor. Now, if I come here and I sit in the seat, you will, bottom left hand, you will see that my energy will go up. I'm pulling energy from the station in order to live. That is how that works. Anytime you sit in a seat, this is the case. And there are many different kinds of seats. So, you start off, you have to go into the asteroid, you have to buy in all of your things using this hand miner, and then eventually you will be able to build things like this small little ship right here. This ship that I have labeled a grinder. It is a grinder because it has these grinders on the front of it. Clever. Those grinders will tear things up that they come into contact with when they are turned on. That is just like this little hand grinder, except it is on a ship and so therefore bigger, which is nice. So if I take my little grinder over here to this ship that I do not necessarily care about, then I can go on to it and I can start to take it apart. Now, as I grind, if you look down right below energy, it says volume. The volume is what I have in my inventory. Unlike Steve, or now Alex, I suppose, from Minecraft, I cannot carry the equivalent of like 50 Eiffel Towers of gold in my pocket. I have a very limited capacity on what I can float around with, even though I am in space. So I just ground, whatever. I just no, mind is a wrong word. I just tore up that stupid ass plate, and it is now in my inventory as steel plates. So I can then take these steel plates and I can go over here to these large containers. These are storage. And I can go ahead and I can put my plates into storage. Now, this particular cargo container does not have anything in it. However, you will see that I have things that are linked. So there we go, I put the plates into there. So that is how I store things, just like chests in Minecraft, except, again, more realistic. So now, how do I build things? Because I want to build all of these things that you see around here. Well, so early on in the game, I would have been mining. And for right now, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to remove this plate again. So I go ahead and I grind this plate. It's going to give me some steel plates, which are very good. Going to wait a moment while it does it. There. And so again, in my inventory, I have steel plates. I now come over here onto what is a platform where I tear things apart. And I'm going to go ahead and select a plate of my own. Now, I can build tons and tons of things, and something that is a very cool feature is that I actually have 4 action bars down here. And I can cycle through those action bars by clicking Shift 1, 2, 3, or 4, respectively. I think that this is something Minecraft needs to do. So, now I have these plates. Although the plates do not immediately go build themselves, they give you a framework. And if you noticed, I had 75 plates before. That framework cost me 1 steel plate. So now I get to weld. And this is why I say that this game is kind of boring, because a lot of the early part of the game is welding. And lots of welding. I mean, lots. Like, you do not comprehend the amount of welding that I am referring to here. Now, you notice that I did not finish all of this plate. Here in the right hand side it says heavy armor block. I actually need 150 steel plates, and I only had 75. So I did not finish that construction. So I'm going to go ahead and take more of these plates away now. There we go. Now, if I go and I build the different plates, so here is a light armor block. It only takes 25. It's not as heavy. And I, of course, can build many of the other things. Here's an interior wall, and now it uses different components. Instead of steel plates, I need construction components and interior plates. Well, if I wanted to make a spotlight, then I has to have many more of the things. I need bulletproof glass and tubes, and unfortunately, as you get out to larger and larger and larger things, like a large engine, or thruster, then you need lots of these things. And then something very expensive is a gyroscope. Let me see if I can find a gyro. There's one right there, a gyroscope. See, 5 computers, 2 of the motors, 4 of the steel tubes, 900 steel plates. No big deal, it's just all steel plate. Anyway, so yes, the game, it gets very complex, very much in a hurry. And usually when you start off, this is all that you has, is this little hand drill. And so I has to go out and I has to mine things by hand. Now, as I progress, then eventually I get different ships that I can build. I have to build the ships. All of these things you see before you have been built. So this guy right here is a builder ship. So instead of using my little hand torch here, I can use these larger torches which go faster, and I can do obviously multiple things at the same time. So if I want to get into this ship, here I am. I'm now in a ship. I'm no longer outside just by myself. I'm now into a ship. And now there's many things that are of interest here. So number one, you notice that I am locked on to the base via this little connector. You can see the connector by the green line that's running below the green X. If I want to remove myself from the base, I have to have that on my hotbar. So now I have removed myself. It's now yellow down there, meaning I can detach the ship. Green, yellow, green, yellow. So you notice that there are many of these conveyor tubes that are running all over the station. That is so that everything is now interconnected together. So of my little builder ship here, I have, if you notice, these little blue thrusters, and then I have some big thrusters on the back. Well, my thrusters on the back are not turned on, and I can do that like this. Now I have more thrust, which is a good thing if I'm trying to get places in a hurry. So here we go. I now take out my little builder ship. But if I want to operate in very small locations, then maybe I don't want all of those thrusters. So we go ahead and we turn them back off. And now I'm just moving forward very slowly. I have spotlights on this thing, so I can turn them on or off if I want to. Obviously, I told you that I have these welders on the front of the ship right here. We'll go ahead and turn my spotlights off. I have these welders. I can turn the welders on or off. And hopefully you can see the little red lines that show up on the welders. That means they are on and that means they are off. This is unfortunately built because I pop out right in front of the welders. And if the welders is on and I touch them, then I am dead. And that is not good. Being dead, not good. So I get back into my little ship here. Now, instead of having these little welders on the front, I could have, as you saw earlier, I can have grinders. I can also have drills. And those drills are what allow us to go ahead and mine things in the rock. So I start off with my little hand drill, and then eventually those little hand drills will give way to small ships like I have here. And I'm going to turn on these thrusters so I can go places faster. We're going to go over here to miner. Now, little ships are not super expensive, which is good, but large ships are very expensive. So I have here a mining ship that I have built. And this mining ship, it did take me a little while to get him done. He is a large ship and not a small ship, as you can tell as I fly by. So I'm going to take this small ship that I have, and I'm going ahead and I'm going to attach it to this large ship up here. I'm going to turn off these things on the back. We're going to rotate ourselves around, and now I'm going to aim at this connector right up here. So we're going to fly over here to the connector. And now, once I get under this connector, we're just going to buoy ourselves up. And we're going to, I think, actually, I may have to turn myself over. I don't have that connector on here. I only have the bottom connector. There, that is better. And so now we are going to go ahead and lower ourselves down onto where this connector is. Use the Alt button to kind of move our camera around. And there we go. So now I'm going to be connected. Good. So I'm going to connect myself to the mining ship, just like that. I can get out of that little guy. Actually, I'm not quite done with him just yet. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to turn off all of my thrusters. And I want to do that because I don't want the little ship fighting against the thrust on this big ship as I am trying to do things. So now we're going to go inside of big ship here. Here we go. And we're going to close our door. Whoop! Cool. And now I'm going to get into this little seat right here. Now, what this seat does is it allows me to pilot to this very big ship, which comes with its own challenges. Big ship is very nice, but like I said, challenges. So this one is a miner, as you might have noticed. And the miner, there's a hidden trick in here in that the drills are on pistons. So that when I face myself at an asteroid, and then I push my front of my ship into the asteroid, the drills will actually themselves go ahead and extend out about 10 meters into the asteroid after I have used the pistons. And then obviously I can reverse the pistons as well. It's very cool. So the big ships, you may have noticed that my builder ship there that is attached was fairly agile. These big ships are not so agile. They take considerably longer to actually get to turn around and move and do the things that we want them to do. So they can be a little difficult to move. Now, at the bottom right, you will have your information panel for the ships that you're in. Just like on the bottom left, you have the panel for my own person. On the right, you have the information panel for the ship itself. And in that panel, you see that we have at the very top is a mass. And the mass just tells you how much that ship weighs. So this is almost a 1,000,000 kilogram ship. fairly, maybe not big ship, but it is good size ship, you know. If we go ahead and get out of this guy, and we go back out here, and we go get, if I can make it out the door anyway, there we go. If I can go make it into my builder ship, and then turn my engines back on, and then disengage him, we will take a look at the mass. See, now he is only 18,000 kilogram. And so that kind of gives a hint as to why the smaller ships are going to go ahead and be easier to maneuver with than the large ships are. So here we go. Now, there are some essentials that you must have in this game. You have to have some ore early on so that you can start making things, and then you have to be able to gather things. Now, the possibilities are staggering. I think there's many possibilities to what we can do in Space Engineers, and that, to be very honest with you, is kind of what caught my attention. So over here we have these pink things, or solar panels. I showed you earlier that we had uranium that we were using to generate energy. These solar panels are another thing that we can use to generate energy. The reactor is cheaper to build, much cheaper to build. And then, as you see from my skybox, we have our sun right there, and so the sun is always shining on these solar panels, always creating energy, which is good. The problem, as I told you, is that these solar panels are very expensive to make. If we come down over here, you're going to see the creation of the server administrator for the Creator server. This is a 3D printer that he has made to go ahead and produce fighter ships. So he has a little fighter ship that he has here, and this thing is going to go ahead and produce those automatically. This is another creation of the server administrator, Mr. Zerg. He has actually created something that will chop up all of the old ships. So if we bring ships into here, he has mini grinders built on pistons. The pistons extend out, and it goes ahead and eats the ship. So now Space Engineers is a little bit more than just the mining and the building of things. A little bit more. So this monstrosity right here is actually a computer-generated hostile ship that we have captured. Capturing ships is not my specialty. That is Zerg's specialty. Perhaps I have him explain it to you later on when we actually get into the series. But yes, this thing right here is actually captured, and we have since kind of gone ahead and stripped it of some of its parts. But it is a very big military ship that was very dangerous when it was captured. Yeah, it did some damage to us. So I'm sure you have been wondering, what is this pink thing over here? Well, had we been able to continue on with our world and not have to restart it because of a very good update provided to us by Space Engineers, this was going to be a carrier that we were going to build. And really, when I say we were going to build, Zerg had been capturing me many ships, and of those many ships, I had been tearing them apart and then reusing those parts to come over here and build. I was rather proud of this guy. He is pretty cool, I think. He's multi-storied. If we come in here and actually kind of take a look, you'll start to see some of the depth that we have in Space Engineers. So here is some glass. It was very pretty from the outside. Even prettier from inside. I need to go turn on the gravity. I tell you what, we go do that now. We go turn on gravity first. So here is my gravity generator. He is suspended, or she, I guess I don't know the sex of the gravity generator, but it is suspended in here. I thought this was just a neat look. It was a neat way to make things kind of get shaped up in here, was this generator. This was going to be kind of a storage area, so I had many of the large storage containers, which are these things right here stacked on each other. This was a temporary flight seat for what proved to be my very large carrier, we go bottom right again, you will notice that this is 4.5 million kilograms. So this is about 5 times, a little more than 5 times the size of the mining ship over there. And it's not even anywhere near completion. This was going to be a very, very large ship. As we rotate around, you'll kind of get a scope. So this asteroid here is what we started on. And you see that I have mined out a portion. Whoops, I went too far. You see that I have mined out a portion of this asteroid here. This ship is now about the size, at least in terms of length, of the asteroid, and so this was going to be a very, very large ship. But yes, I came in here so that I could turn on the gravity, and now we get to go play in the menus. And it's not as bad as Eve, but there are many menus in this game, and everything that I place on here that can be updated is now going to show up in a menu. So here's my gravity generator. I'm going to go ahead and toggle the block on. Down here I can play around with the acceleration for the gravity. You know, do I want it to be, is it repelling me away? Is it not? By the way, repelling gravity like this has some interesting characteristics. I can play around with how high the field is and how wide it is, how deep the field goes. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set my gravitational pull about 15 hundredths of normal Earth gravity. You notice over here that I have many. I can look at flight seats. There's things that I can, do I want to control thrusters, wheels, brakes, anything from here if I want to. These are automated turrets that I put on the outside of my ship. They have their own inventories, although it is much easier if they're just hooked up to the general large cargo containers right here. You can rename all of these things. Excuse me, I can add them to a block group. You see I already have 138 interior lights on this ship. That could be kind of confusing. But yes, so I exit out of that, and now I exit out of here, and now the gravity is going to be turned on, so I can go ahead and run around here in the Space Engineers. So as I look out, you know, this is looking out the window on my carrier. I'm out here looking at the station that is over there. So the difference is in the small ship, which is that small little thing up there, the builder that I'm using to construct my large ship here. My large ship, which was like the miner, or this thing over here, which was my original mining ship and now it's just kind of used for storage. And then the station is that the station is just what it says, is stationary. It doesn't go anywhere. I attach it to an asteroid and it just stays there. Whereas my ships, all of my ships are mobile. Now there are pros and cons both ways. There are pros and cons. If you are rich in the game, which I do not consider myself rich yet, but if you are rich, then maybe you can afford all of the uraniums that you need. You can go ahead and turn on the gravity everywhere. It's expensive to do that, so you kind of have to set up mini solar panels in order to kind of have the renewable energy that you don't have to use with the uraniums. This out here, originally I was going to go ahead and use this as my flight deck. This is going to be where the ships, the fighters and things that the ship was going to carry, the miners and all that were going to come in and land. I have kind of updated my thoughts on that. They're going to have many different ways of doing this. But yes. So I think, I hope this has been good overview for you of the Space Engineers. It is quite a lot. I told you up front it is a complex game. There's quite a lot going on here, and we have just kind of touched the surface of everything that you really can do in the game. We haven't really talked about rotors. We have not really talked about pistons. Because there are gravity generators that you can turn to negative gravity, means it is actually repelling you away. Now we can have gravity guns, and there are warheads and explosives, and there are enemy ships flying around everywhere. There's a military transporter right there. He is not happy with me. He is an enemy ship. There's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons that we can do. And so I want you to consider this the introduction. At this point, I'm now going to unfortunately shut down this world because of the update. The update changed the way that the asteroids are created, and it also changed your world instead of having a world that is only, say, 50,000 kilometers across, you can now have infinite worlds that generate progressively. Your asteroids, you can have infinite asteroids, a certain number of them at a time. Just many good changes to the game that this old world does not take or make use of. So, this is the introduction. I will hopefully see you for episode 1 of Survival in Space Engineers. Hopefully it's not going to be too boring. And as always, I appreciate you joining me, and then I will see you then. Thank you all.